Okay, so this is going to sound really strange, but when I was much younger, I tailored my entire personality after the fictional character of Christian Grey. Well, the persona I slide into when I talk to girls at least. I'm all hyper and energetic on here because it's my job to be entertaining and engaging, and this is how I actually am with my friends. But when I'm with girls, I'm a lot more relaxed and reserved. Christian Grey is kind of like my own version of the Tyler Durden personality from Fight Club that I developed after my first high school relationship ended. I don't even remember how it happened. I was just really young, really sad, and incredibly impressionable. Then I saw Christian Grey in this movie and I was like, that guy is cool, he fucks bitches, he gets money, he doesn't get his heart broken. I'ma just be him. And that's what I did. So, it's safe to say that I have a pretty precarious relationship with this movie. And I don't know about you guys, but from my perspective, this movie is essentially the story of the freakiest situationship ever imagined. Literally, all they do is fuck.
I don't make love, I fuck.
Over and over in just the freakiest ways possible, while having to deal with momentary dramatic deviations here and there, which they of course resolve with even more masochistic fucking, all the while not having any real or tangible label placed over their relationship. It's actually fucking awesome. Except the part with all the drama, of course. That's just indicative of him slowly growing more and more possessive over his submissive. But outside that slight human flaw, bro's actually really fucking cool. He's kind of like Batman if Batman really liked to fuck.
I fuck hard.
Which was quite mesmerizing and appealing to me when I was younger, so that should explain the intro of the video. Oh, and real quick, his name is
Christian Grey.
And she...
I'm Anastasia Steele.
Damn, bitch, can I fucking talk?
Yeah, sorry.
She's a final year English literature student and he's a multi-millionaire CEO of a telecommunications company. So, now that we've introduced our characters and the premise of the movie, what exactly is a situationship? Well, it's essentially a relationship without any official labels because, for whatever reason, one person in the relationship isn't fully ready to commit to the other. This is usually out of fear of getting hurt, so they keep the other person at an emotional arm's length and try not to get too attached as a way to guard their heart that has most likely been broken before. Or they're just trying to retain the ability to explore other available options on the market if and when such opportunity arises. This could also be a subconscious way of trying to avoid genuine intimacy, a means employed by those that are in denial of the fact that they do indeed have severe commitment issues, but you didn't hear that from me. Those in a situationship will still do regular relationship things like go on dates, fuck, cuddle after they fuck, text each other all day, and just hang out all the time. It only gets tricky when somebody asks you guys how long you've been dating and you start struggling to explain what the fuck you guys have been doing together for the past few weeks. Or when one of you finds out the other person has been hanging out with other members of the opposite sex as well, and you can't fucking say anything because you motherfuckers aren't actually dating. So there's nothing forcing either of you to be exclusive, and now your jealousy is not justified. You just gotta sit there and take it. And that's the thing, somebody always catches fucking feelings in these types of scenarios, and it's never the person that's the least invested in the situation. That's usually the one that opted to keep things casual. So now the other person either has to accept that this is how it's going to be, or break things off and go find somebody that actually commit to them. No matter how you spin it, these things always get messy one way or the other. Now, back to these freaky ass motherfuckers. You could tell the shit was gonna be a situationship from the very first date because the moment bro finds out she's a hopeless romantic, he immediately gets up, ends the date, and walks out of the coffee shop. Which is kinda weird because you could just tell her you want to keep things casual, and despite the fact that she wants a serious relationship from you, she'll stay with you and keep sucking your dick because in her mind, it's better to have some of you and believe that she will eventually fix you or change you or convince you to be exclusive with her than to not have you at all. It's the same way a guy will confess his feelings of attraction to a girl he has been friends with for a while, get completely rejected by that girl, but still choose to remain friends with her because he would rather still be around her and wait for an opportunity where she might be sad enough or drunk enough to be sexually intimate with him in an attempt to make herself feel better than to not have her at all. This is obviously a bad idea, a very foolish maneuver on the guy's part, and a big part of the reason why I believe that girls and boys can't be friends. There's even a guy in the movie that's very clearly in Anna's friend zone that exemplifies my point perfectly. And if you notice, in both scenarios, the person with all the power and authority to dictate the direction of the relationship is the person that is the least invested in the situation. This also applies to other scenarios like arguments, breakups, and business deals. But I bring this up to say that bro didn't need to be so dramatic. He could have just simply told her he was trying to clap some cheeks. Ow! And she would have still been on his dick regardless. Actually, because of the forbidden fruit principle, she would have developed an even stronger attraction for him, knowing fully well that he was never going to give her the thing she wanted. Oh, and for those that haven't seen my analysis of Despicable Me 2, first off, you know you should be binging all my videos, nigga. What are you doing? Get to it! And secondly, the forbidden fruit is something I made up and it goes like this. The forbidden fruit principle, derived from the forbidden fruit fallacy, states that the one thing a woman wants most in this world is the very thing she knows she can't have. Go watch my Despicable Me 2 analysis for more context context on the origins of that whole thing. So, the only possible reason he could have had to walk out the way he did would have been if he genuinely didn't want to break her heart down the line, or if he was just trying to avoid the inevitable drama that comes trying to turn a hopeless romantic into a friend with benefits. Even their very first interaction at the start of the movie is crazy because this bitch gave my man a shit test literally 2 minutes after meeting him. For the uninformed, a shit test is a question or a statement a girl presents to a guy as a way to see if he will be a bitch and either react emotionally, change his stance, or try to aggressively defend himself. All of which of course are ways one would quickly fail such a test. After many long hours of excruciating research, I've concluded that women only do this to guys that they are attracted to. They typically do this because they're trying to see if the guy they're talking to is the real deal, or if he's just putting on a facade to try and get in her pants. But unfortunately, despite my many long and excruciating years of tediously researching this topic, I still don't know if girls are actually aware of the fact that they do this, or if it's just some fucking bitch ass nigga detector mechanism that's been built into their subconscious like on a genetic level or some shit. There are different types of shit tests with varying degrees of intensity and therefore a multitude of ways to tackle them. But the universal way to pass your standard shit test, and again, this is all based on my research, don't fucking ask me for my sources, just trust me bro, they are credible, is to just stand on whatever it is you said or did right before she initiated the test, which is exactly what Christian did and why he's really that nigga. I don't have the strength to give a detailed example, but essentially if you say something quote unquote crazy and she challenges it in some way, but you're unable to stand on what you said, you kinda look like a bitch bro, and that's not me, that's just what it says in the research my nigga. I ain't write this shit, I'm just telling you what my fucking sources said. For context, she came to interview him at his office for her school's newspaper, and bro is a 27-year-old millionaire CEO, so her first question to him is why he thinks he's so successful at such a young age.
The key to my success has been in identifying talented individuals and harnessing their efforts.
Which is just rich white guy for, I find people that are really great at their job and I get them to come work for me. This obviously raises attraction for him because women have this thing for guys that can dominate other people very easily, and being the stereotypical woman that she is, she can't just be turned on in peace. So she tests him
and harnessing their efforts.
So you're a control freak?
Expecting him to give a reaction, retract his statement in fear of being judged by her, or at the very least, try and defend himself against the control freak allegations. But bro is like,
So you're a control freak?
Oh, I exercise control in all things, Miss Steele.
Then Shorty is just fucking dumbfounded for like 8 business seconds. And if you look closer, you can basically see her imagining all the ways she wants to suck his dick right now. Later on in the interview, he offers her an internship for when she graduates, but she laughs it off and says she clearly wouldn't fit in here, implying that she's not as competent, attractive, or well put together as the other women that work for him. Then he immediately invalidates all those self-deprecating claims with one simple, smooth, and well-timed response.
Look at me.
I am.
Good lord, she might as well be biting the corner of her lip right now because it's very obvious how aroused she is in this moment. The reason this succinct response has such a powerful effect on her is because it immediately sparks deep sexual tension between them by subtly implying that he's attracted to her, while effortlessly communicating to her that he sees the value within her that she can't seem to see in herself, further reinforcing the chemistry they have between them. Now, in every situationship, because of its inherently tricky nature, there's always a power dynamic, and as I said before, the person that is the least invested is always the one with all the power. This person could be either the guy or the girl, but the ideal situation would be if the guy was one that was far less emotionally invested in the relationship, so that power pendulum could be tilted slightly in his favor. I say this because girls are naturally attracted to guys that don't need them, so it would be optimal if the guy was far less emotionally interested in the girl than she is in him. This way, the girl stays attracted to him long after the initial spark of talking to a mysterious stranger has faded away. She has something to work towards, that being his complete commitment to her, and when he finally does decide to elevate her from a situationship status to a real relationship with an official label and a court-approved certificate of authentication, she would treasure it even more because she feels like she worked for it, which she kinda did, as opposed to the guy completely throwing himself at her after a few interactions and constantly talking about how he wants to spend the rest of his life with her as if she's the only girl he has ever been with. Naturally, she's not going to value that commitment because it feels cheap and easy, so it's not worth anything to her. Plus, the fact that she knows that you're so easily accessible just makes it far less fun for her than if it is this elusive thing that she has to catch and try her best to secure because she knows that you could just vanish at any moment. And of course, our main man Christian has been around the block a couple times, so he's very much aware of these principles, or at the very least, he did the same research I did. At the beginning, he teases her every chance he gets, literally making her wait in anticipation of his touch, practically has her begging for him to get inside her. So when he does do something as simple as kissing her, it evokes a deep sensation of pleasure within her because she's finally getting that one thing that's been withheld from her for so long. It functions very similarly to the concept of scarcity in economics. The more unavailable a product is to the market, the more valuable it is and the more people are willing to pay for it. He doesn't let her touch him when they get busy. He doesn't lay in bed and cuddle with her when they are done getting busy. They don't sleep in the same bed and he doesn't even go on romantic dates with her. These are all things he withheld from her that kept that power pendulum swinging in his favor and only made her want him even more. Now, he definitely went a bit too far with all that, as the same result could be achieved with far less extreme methods. But regardless, they got the job done, and he did say that that's how he is with all women, so it's chill. Over the course of the movie, he starts losing his grip and ends up tilting the pendulum in her favor as he starts to outwardly develop feelings for her.
What are you doing to me?
Which start dictating his actions, causing him to start going soft, which in turn leads her to start playing games with him. And this is highly deleterious to the structural integrity of any sort of situationship. A girl simply doesn't want a guy she feels that she can control and easily manipulate. That's not very attractive to them. If she starts to feel like she has all the power in the dynamic, pretty soon she'll get bored, she'll lose attraction, she won't want to suck his dick anymore, the excitement she once felt in his presence will vanish, and now everybody is miserable. But before we get to her games, we need to address all his tiny fuck-ups that led her to start toying with him, because it is in fact the little things that matter. For context, she just spent the weekend at his mansion where they had a lot of sex and now he's dropping her off at her place. He's trying to get her to sign this contract that will allow them to consensually engage in a really freaky ass BDSM relationship. So his first fuck up comes right after he gives her the contract.
I really hope you say yes.
Which is just the plain definition of doing way too much, my nigga. That one line does so much subliminal damage you don't even fucking know. It comes off as needy because all you did was communicate to her that you want something from her and you really want her to give it to you. So now she knows the boys in her field, or however the fuck that saying goes, I don't watch sports. And her complete disinterest as shown by her lack of expression or reaction says it all. Just look at the contrast between the moments when she wants something from you versus the moments you express that you want something from her. She goes from this to this. Such a fucking waste. A good replacement for that atrocious line would be, I look forward to your response. Very calm, very simple, very low investment. His next fuck up comes literally 2 minutes later when she walks into her apartment and receives an email from him that reads, thank you for a most interesting weekend. Again, you're doing too much, bro. You personally flew her in a helicopter over the city when she had a beautiful view of the night light, to your mansion when she graciously got her virginity taken away by the best in the business, got her back successfully blown out in a number of different locations several times after that, had her own luxury room to sleep in, an assortment of meals to choose from, and got personally driven back in a fancy ass car to her apartment. If anybody should be thanking anyone for the interesting weekend, it should be her, nigga! All you had to say was, I had fun this weekend. Very calm, very simple, very low investment. But instead, you chose to unnecessarily put her on a pedestal, and what's worse is, she doesn't even acknowledge the appreciation. So now, your kind words no longer have an effect on her. You remember back when 2 simple words from you had her soaking wet in her seat?
I am.
Yeah, now look at you, fucking bitch ass nigga. They don't see each other for a week, and because his behavior was slightly unattractive the last time she saw him, she starts to forget how domineering and charming he usually is. This then leads her to do something he deems as disrespectful. So, like the fucking gangster that he is, he shows up out of nowhere and puts her in her place. No, really. He literally straps her into place with his tie and fucks the ever-loving shit out of her. I told you these niggas were fucking freaky as fuck, but you ain't wanna listen. The thing is, over the course of that week, Anna really took her sweet time when it came to agreeing to the terms of the contract because it was all just so fucking overwhelming.
The submissive will obey any instruction given by the dominant. She will do so eagerly and without hesitation.
The submissive will agree to any sexual activity deemed fit and pleasurable by the dominant. The submissive may not touch the dominant without his express permission to do so.
The dominant may flog, spank, whip, or corporally punish his submissive as he sees fit for purposes of discipline or for his personal enjoyment.
Does the submissive consent to being restrained with hands bound in front? Does the submissive consent to being...
This then led her to start second guessing whether or not she really wanted to be with him.
It was nice knowing you.
It's been nice knowing me, has it?
Let me remind you how nice it was.
So So he redeems himself by reminding her why she desires him so much, but ends up taking 2 steps back when he expresses the fact that she starts to have sort of an emotional effect on him.
What are you doing to me?
The next day, after getting digged down the way she likes, she now obviously wants more of him. So she suggests a formal business meeting so they can discuss the terms of the contract. Halfway through the meeting, he does another fuck up. He compliments her on how committed she is to the negotiations and amends the contract to allow for date nights once a week as a way to reward her for composing herself in a meeting that she initiated.
Right.
Like, bro, if you want to go on dates with her, just say so. There's no need to disguise this as some sort of obligatory reward for her simply doing the thing that she was supposed to do. And remember, I'm not opposed to compliments. He complimented her at the start of the movie the very first time they met, and I commended him for that. But it's the context in which the compliments are given that I have a problem with. So, on top of knowing fully well that she has strong emotional sway over him, he has also shown that he's willing to fundamentally change who he is as a person just to please her. This now gives her all the confidence she needs to start fucking with him. So, she does just that. At the end of the meeting, he's like,
I would like to fuck you into the middle of next week.
She then implies that she would like to leave. He says her body language tells him that she wants to stay. They start dirty talking. She starts pulling her hair back. He starts undressing. She bites her lip. He gets very carnal. She continues to lead him on. Tension rises. The anticipation builds. Then...
Thank you for the meeting, Mr. Gray.
She blue balls the fuck out that nigga.
Then I would bend you over.
Right here?
Yes.
Thank you for the meeting, Mr. Gray.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Heartless. Fucking heartless. After getting played like a fiddle, he walks her down to her car and proceeds to fuck up even more. He tries to persuade her to stay with the look of hunger and desire still in his eyes. Meanwhile, she's already completely disillusioned by the idea of sex at that moment. And with the biggest smile on her face, she continues to reject him.
Good night, Christian.
At this point, it's pretty evident that the more power he unintentionally gives her, the more she enjoys using it against him. The moment the woman realizes that she has the upper hand, she will then use it to continually toy with you until she either gets bored or you regain your composure. Trying to persuade the woman to stay when she wants to leave is never really a good idea, and it's only going to make her want to leave you even more. Remember what the research said? Women want men that don't need them. So paradoxically, leaving them alone and being content by yourself is exactly what's going to make them want to suck your dick, bro. I know, it's weird. I'm the one making the video and I don't even fucking understand it. Eventually, she agrees to the terms of the contract and he just turns her into a little plaything. Like, she literally becomes this literal life-size doll for him to play with as he pleases. But they start having a bit of friction because bro is actually emotionally unavailable and is repeatedly unable to open up to her as a result of his incredibly fucked up past. Because of the friction in communication, the movie here on out is just drama. Just a whole lot of drama. Way too much drama to be present in any self-respecting situationship. Then a lot more freaky sex, and the more you watch him tie her up, whip her with various canes, refuse to let her touch him, insist on punishing her, like really insist on punishing her, refuse to open up to her about why he's the way he is, and lash out when she persistently asks him to talk to her, the more you slowly realize that this nigga's got some trauma, bro. Like some serious fucking prepubescent horrific type trauma. The kind of stuff one such as me would like to closely examine, but we don't have enough info in this movie to go as deep as I would like. Pause. Maybe if the second one is as enjoyable to watch as this one, I'll run the analysis. The movie basically ends with his freaky ass kinks straight up turning into domestic abuse as she tells him to punish her the way he likes with his full might. This was her last ditch attempt to try and get to know him since he just repeatedly refused to talk to her throughout the movie. Which, at that point, if you have to get physically assaulted just to understand the person you're being sexually intimate with, then I'm pretty sure you gotta get the fuck out of there. Because that's just fucking crazy, nigga. And I don't think there's any amount of good dick in this world that's worth being whipped like a fucking farm animal for. The fuck? Just the persistent insistence on shutting you out emotionally was enough to wrap this up in my opinion. But when you add literal domestic abuse when y'all niggas ain't even fucking exclusive, yeah, you gotta get the fuck out of there, Anastasia. You gotta get the fuck out of there. Sure, the sex is fire, but if the nigga ain't fulfilling your emotional needs and you can't connect with him beyond the surface level as he's constantly trying to push you away, then it's only a matter of time before you start involuntarily seeking out that emotional support and fulfillment elsewhere. Especially if being with him is also causing you additional emotional strain. And props to her because she fucking left at the end of the movie. The movie ends with her crying in her bed and him abruptly leaving a business meeting. So, one can only presume he's off to go and try and sweep her off her feet or some shit. Who fucking knows? But I guess that's the lesson of the analysis. Regardless of if you're in a situationship or an actual relationship, if you want the other person to stick around, you have to tend to their emotional needs. Only real difference is, in situations where a girl would probably just leave and never come back, the guy would stay, keep smashing and just dissociate through the whole thing. But at the end of the day, I think it all just comes down to us trying our best to be good to the people we interact with on a day-to-day basis, especially the ones we're getting really intimate with. Just because you're having sex with that person with no strings attached doesn't mean they're not still a human being with their own feelings and emotions, you know. So yeah, that's about it. Subscribe to the Patreon for the Weird Thoughts. That's the member-controlled Patreon-only podcast, and Weird Commentary, the cartoon commentary. Nope, the Patreon-exclusive cartoon commentary videos. I gotta get better at my fucking Patreon page, bro. But anyway, link in the description. Subscribe to the Patreon. I still don't have a new outro yet, so I'm just gonna end it right here.